How excited are you just to get things started?
I want to play right now. I mean, it was an awesome feeling getting to go to Super Regionals for the second time since I've been here. So, of course, this time we want to make it to the World Series. But, I mean, we know there's a lot of work to be done, so we're ready to get after it.
You know, I think they're pretty excited to still be playing, but they know what the end goal is, and so I haven't noticed any different in their mindset, whether it be preparing for a big weekend series or preparing for a conference tournament. So I'm not trying to downplay anything, but I mean, they know what the ultimate goal is, so, and you know, they still want to be playing this time next week.
Is it hard to keep kids focused through extra innings, through regionals, through?
No, it's hard to keep them focused when they're not playing baseball. You know, I think our biggest challenge this week, especially when I found out we weren't playing until Saturday, was how are we going to fill this time since we're not in school? I mean, it's the best time to be a college baseball player because it's the closest to being a major league player that you'll ever be in college. There's no school, there's just baseball. And sometimes, as you all have reported many times, the worst thing you can give a student athlete is free time because they tend to find alternative things to do. But this group they're a good bunch, and you know, they've stayed focused on the task to this point.
Hey, Killer Frogs, look who we got here. Man, our superstar shortstop here, Keaton Jones. Man, you were magnificent this last weekend. In fact, I dare say that you actually saved the game on Friday night with that play up the hole. That was probably one of the best plays I've seen made here in a long time. You know, the Sienna guy, he thought that was up there, and that would have probably been the ball game. That was in the, if I remember, the top of the eighth or somewhere right in there.
It was, yeah.
Tell me about that play.
Well, I mean, as you know, it was kind of after that triple, nerves were going, and
Right.
it was getting an exciting time. But I know I just had to be ready for any play and had to make the play. So when it happened, I was kind of just get a glove on it.
Well, I'll tell you, you've gotten a glove on a lot of things this year. I'm not going to say that we haven't had shortstops that can make more spectacular plays. We haven't had shortstops that maybe even had better arms, but I cannot remember that we've had a better shortstop for consistency than this California boy that came over to Texas here. Hey, Killer Frogs, man, who better could we have on today than the most valuable player of the regional here in Fort Worth, and Boomer White. Boomer, we've already talked about this, I know, but you've come in clutch for us so many times, and this weekend notwithstanding. Give me your thoughts on the past weekend.
Probably the most fun weekend I've had here at TCU. Crowd was electric, as everyone knows. Just so much fun for us players to play in front of. That's what makes the games, and I was fortunate enough to come up in a few key situations and got it done, which I thank God for. But that was just happened to be me. It could have been anyone on this team. But we're excited that we're moving on and played a pretty clean series, so we're excited for that. But we know we can do better, and we're excited for Pepperdine to come into town.
We're unbelievably excited to be here. Anytime I think you can, do something you haven't done in a while. I know we made it to the World Series in '92, but ever since the new format of being able to go to a super regional, and since was it '99 I think it started, and now we're able to do this again, and with a great group of kids who I don't know if they really realize what they've done yet, but for us, we do know as coaches, and it's a pretty special group, and we're excited to be here. And I just know that the hospitality we've received in Texas has been second to none so far, so very thankful for that as well.
Pepperdine, we have a phenomenal amount of respect for their program, and after 2 days worth of watching games this weekend, after two days of watching their games from this past weekend, they have a really good team. They have a really good team that is both young. They have some really good freshman players, really good freshman shortstop, freshman catcher that's leading their team in hitting, and then they have some quality senior and junior players, one of the best players in the country in Aaron Brown, center fielder and left-handed pitcher. So they're really talented, and they're hot. And to do what they did to go into Cal Poly, which I think had only lost 10 or 11 games this year, and win that regional is unbelievable. So we know it's a really good matchup. It's as good as any super regional in the country, especially from a pitching standpoint. So I hope we don't have any, if it takes 22 innings to win, we'll do it, but it's probably going to be, on paper, a lot of tight games.
Cal Poly, one of the best teams in the nation, ranked in the top 5 a lot all year, and you took care of them out there in the regional, and not only that, Arizona State, you being the 3 there. Tell us about that. How did y'all accomplish that so well out there?
We accomplished it by these two guys right here. You know, it's pretty simple. Cal Poly, first of all, since you brought them up first, one of the best offensive teams I've seen in a long time. Can really hit. Larry Lee, who is a former Pepperdine guy, just does a really good job up there with them. And I'll tell you what, their starting pitching was pretty good too. And so offensively, it was going to be one of those days where we're just going to have to win. You know, and the team that makes the fewest mistakes is hopefully going to come out on top. And Arizona State, obviously, just always a powerhouse in college baseball, and they just did a great job. And, you know, like I said, we were fortunate. Corey Miller just pitched an amazing game, got us deep into it, and let the bullpen take care of it after that. But I'll tell you what, that regional was really fun. And I told our guys going in, I really liked the matchup, because we're familiar with the West Coast baseball, and there was no surprise teams in there that we weren't familiar with. I just said, if you guys believe we can win this thing, we will. And I thought they did a pretty good job of that.
This is what it's supposed to be. If you're playing for the right to go to Omaha, I know there are a few other super regionals that maybe not quite as balanced as this one, but this one is as balanced as any.
Well, you know, I'm getting a little concerned. You're kind of getting this superstar status around here, and this may be the last time he allows us to interview him here. I know you've got your own chant here. I mean, I hear this Boomer White. Now, does that get you a little uptight at bat? Tell me about that.
I mean, it's fun. I mean, every player loves to have their name chanted, I guess. But, you know, so it gets you a little antsy at the plate sometimes.
Get you antsy at the plate. Well, I'll tell him, hey, if it gets you a little antsy, we'll tell him to wait before the plate and then after he bats, and then let's do the Boomer White, especially after he makes it happen, because I tell you what, if there's somebody I'm going to bet on this team to make it happen at the plate in a clutch situation, it's going to be Boomer White. I know you're excited about this weekend versus Pepperdine. You know, it's going to be a big series here. Here we've got a chance for you to go to your first College World Series.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Love that. You excited? I know your parents. Will your parents be back this weekend?
Not this weekend.
Not this weekend.
In Omaha if we make it.
They'll be in Omaha. Yeah. Well, we're not going to
when we
make it to Omaha.
Can you talk about the Big 12 and having so many teams left and what it says for that?
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying all year long as a coaching community in the conference that we felt like we had as good a league as anybody, if not better. And I'm glad to see that prove out. You know, we had to have 5 teams in the NCAA tournament out of 9 teams in the league. Probably should have had 6 in West Virginia, and then to have 4 of those 5 teams advance and 4 of those teams host now. It sure would be fun to have everybody in Omaha. But you know, it's a great conference, and it's proven itself on the field.
Coach, you at all concerned about the heat being a factor? You guys
I'm sorry, I'm a little dehydrated right now. I can't understand.
I mean, how was it out there practicing, and is that stuff blown out of proportion, or do you have to take extra precautions?
Just like I told our guys, just drink lots of water. You can't hydrate yourself the day of the game, so we just got to make sure we're doing it beforehand. And you know, I just think once you start playing, you know, being from Vegas, everybody's like, how in the world you play in 115 degrees? I just didn't really remember playing in it. You know, you just went out there and played baseball. So I think when you're competing in it and you're doing that, you know, I just think you're worrying about competing. You're not worried about the heat or whatever it is. Chances are it's usually the people in the stand or in the booth who are sitting there doing this the whole time. But when you're competing out there, I don't know how much of an effect it has on you.
10 SEC teams in, 2 in, and we only had 5 from the Big 12, 4 get in. Quite a statement.
It's an awesome statement. And West Virginia, you know, could have and should have possibly been in. So I'm just glad it showed itself out on the field. And no disrespect to the SEC, a great conference, great baseball. But you know, the strength of the Big 12 has shown itself on the baseball field, and I hope it does again this weekend.
Coach, you and Coach Schlossnagle have known each other for a long time.
Yes, sir.
What's the nature of y'all's relationship? Is it just professional? I mean, how well do y'all know each other?
Oh, I was going to make a really funny comment there, but I wasn't going to. No, no, I just know him just from recruiting and playing against each other, and I just know he does a really good job. You know, it's very similar types of baseball, I think, that we play. That's what's going to make this matchup really interesting. Just have tremendous amount of respect for what he does here and how he does it, with the recruits that he's getting, with the players he's producing, and the quality of the young men that you see who leave this program. It says a lot about what he's doing here. And I just know from my standpoint, it's hard to create really good relationships with other coaches, simply because we're all competing all the time. And I just know that whenever there's something in need, like he helped us when we got down here, and it's just nice to know that those relationships that sometimes can be put aside in regards to the competing nature, just to make sure that each and every one of us is taken care of.
Tell me, what do you know about Pepperdine? What's Coach told you? Have you seen them play this year? You know anything about them?
I caught a little bit of their game against Cal Poly, not much. I know they have a stud two-way player that everyone speaks very highly about.
Who's that?
Aaron Brown.
Aaron
Brown, yeah. I've heard great things about him. And I know their record's outstanding. They play a great schedule, so it's not going to be an easy challenge for us. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a great crowd, great series, and I mean, couldn't be a better situation.
Well, you brought up the Frog crowd, and you're nowhere else are you going to speak more of the Frog crowd than right here on Killer Frogs. What does that crowd mean to you? Does that really make a difference in the ball game to you guys?
Yeah, it does. And I was talking to someone the other day, and the crowd doesn't realize how much we appreciate them and how much it gets us going. In that 22nd inning or whatever, we had a big play on defense, brought all the momentum into the dugout, and that inning, you know. We ended up scoring that game-winning run. It gets our dugout fired up, brings confidence to us. So when the crowd gets going, we get going.
Let's talk about the dugout. Saturday night, 22 innings. Was it getting a little tense in there?
You know, it was probably tense until about the 15th, and then it just kind of became fun and a little ridiculous. We couldn't believe that, you know, this was still going on. And honestly, the stress kind of started dying the longer the game went on. We were just having a fun time. Y'all saw us doing all this crazy stuff, and I'm sure Sam Houston was too. But no, we were just enjoying it. And
well, the interference call seemed to liven it up.
No doubt.
When the interference happened, that kind of got everybody back into the game there.
For sure.
And of course, it was the next inning that we ended up winning it.
Yeah,
so.
No, that got their dugout fired up, and ours, and the whole crowd got into it. And you know, sometimes that's all it takes. I mean, a little momentum shift can change a game.
Yeah, these are the more important guys here, please.
As a senior, what does this mean to you?
It really does mean the world. I mean, I did get drafted last year, and I chose to come back. And there's something about making that decision last year. I was talking to Rod about it, and just there was something eating at me that just told me not to sign. And talking to Rod, I really discovered that I wasn't done at Pepperdine yet. I wanted to make a super regional. I wanted to make the College World Series. And just having that happen, coming back for my senior year, just made it all worth coming back. And I have no regrets. It's awesome.
Now let me take you back in the dugout. For every game, we see three things hanging in there: a picture of Pete Rose doing that headfirst slide of his, the word barrel, and then trust your routine. Can you tell the fans a little bit about those three posters?
Yeah, well, it's probably about halfway through the season, Coach brought up Pete Rose, and we kind of watched a video on him, and that's the guy he wanted us to play like, you know, with reckless abandon, just love for the game, doing everything we can to win for our team, just going all out. So we have that up there to remind us before we go up to the plate. We just have the barrel, just so we sign that every time we hit the ball on the sweet spot on the barrel. That just lets us know, gives us confidence, even if we got out, that we squared the ball up, we did our job. And so you'll see some signatures on that throughout the game.
Well, you got to be out of ink by now.
We're just ready to play. We're excited. Feel like we've had a lot of time off since Sunday evening, which we needed there for about 48 hours. But we're ready to go. Excited for the opportunity to play at home for sure. So going to be a big weekend.
I'm hoping it's going to end with us winning a national championship. I don't want to stop playing yet. I love TCU. I love being here. I don't want to leave here without a ring, honestly.